Hi guys, it's Blackie, and today we're going to be talking about poncho shelters. I'm going to do a few simple, quick shelter setups for you and give you some ideas of how to do it. Now what you will need to do this is a poncho in good condition, some that ain't full of holes. I've gone ahead and put twist ties at every one of the grommets. That's simply a piece of bank line that I've twisted up and put on there so it makes a toggle that doesn't snag easy, but it's very easy to put sticks through, improvised stakes and tent stakes through, and then it goes back round like this so it isn't something that hangs up. I've got a pre-made up Ridgeline that is just simply one of my quick ridge lines with quick connects already put on it to make it a very viable quick to connect. That and this and some simple stakes, and that's all I need. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. Okay, here's the low pup tent set up. I have a ridge line running between two trees, and I've simply taken the four corners and staked them out using the stakes and those twist loops that we've been using, the BUGOUT bungee. My ridge line is attached with a quick connect and a soft shackle. That way I can hook to any one of these grommets going around into any configuration I want. But this is the low tent, like a pup tent. It's more than roomy enough, and I'm going to move the camera around. I'm going to slide into it a minute. Now, the advantage is low profile, doesn't attract a lot of attention. It'd be easy to camouflage this by taking some limbs and stuff, throwing a little bit on it, break the outline, and you would be able to camouflage this. For a stealth camp, this works well. It's one of the reasons the military used it so long. But the edges being the grommets at all the points hold it like this. There's a center tie on the side. The hood has been drawn up tight and just flopped over to one side. That way the ridge line will handle any rain and sheet off. You want to make sure when you set this up that it's kind of like on a raised, more elevated place so the water goes away. In this place I've got it sitting, it's actually got a dip underneath. So any water that be running off would fall off and go right back up underneath and you get wet. So you want a raised area to set this on so the water runs away from you. Okay? When we move the camera around, I'll show you what it looks like inside. Okay, the easy way to do it is just back up to the door, go down on your knees, and back into it. Like this. Then straighten out. Now, this is more than enough room for one person. I easily got plenty of room, probably 18 inches up above my head, more than the length of my body that way. If I was to pad these sides with leaves and debris to block any breeze from that way, put this up, the far end up against a tree so that I would kind of block off that door a little bit, and so this is the only way in and out. And then about where the camera is where I'd put my little fire for a little bit of heat throwing in there. This is more than adequate for one person for using it, and I have camped this way God knows how many times over the years. But it is a really good way to do it. And you can see I can come up on one shoulder pretty easily in here. Have enough headroom to maneuver. I can actually probably sit up. You know, I'd have to keep my head down. But I could probably actually sit up in the middle of this. And as long as I keep that hood closed up tight and folded over to one side or the other, I won't have to worry so much about, you know, rain coming in or anything like that. Now this configuration works well for standard camping, light rain, stuff like that. It's just a small pup tent like for one person. Like I said, back that far end up all the way against the tree and then fill up that end with debris. Pack up along the edges out here with debris to keep wind from coming under the side. And it's a fairly secure little tent with enough room for you and your gear to do what you got to do. So as a pup tent, it does pretty well. That's one configuration. Now let me show you another one. Okay, basic lean-to. I've hooked my ridge line up between two trees, and we're going to do a close-up of the ridge line in a minute. And I'm using soft shackles to connect from my grommets or the BUGOUT bungee to the ridge line. And since I've already got it hooked to the ridge line, I can just hook it directly. Okay. Out here in the middle, I'm using the BUGOUT bungee that's already attached to the tarp and folding it around with a stake to anchor it to my ridge line. I'll show that up close. But this has produced a basic shape. However, as you can see, it always sags in the middle. I want to pull that back. So I'm going to take another stake, a stick, and utilizing what I put on this tarp, put on this poncho make it stand out and give me much more headroom. So we'll move to the back and I'll show you that right quick. Okay, I'm going to take my line, my bank line, and in the modification I did for this poncho in an earlier video, I did a penny mod. That means that up here on the top I've got a loop to connect to right here. So I'm going to take my line, go ahead and set it up to accept that, just like that. I'm going to put it over that penny mod right quick, pull it tight. Okay, now down here at the bottom I've got one of those WOODSCRAFT bungee twists already set up. I'm just going to open it up, take my pole and stand it up in it, kind of wedge it in the ground a little bit, and then I'm going to pull the tarp up to it and go around once or twice with my cordage to anchor it. It only takes a couple of times to hold it in place. Now, don't worry, I'm going to tighten that up. I'm going to pull the cordage tight up here like this. Roll those wraps down, and then holding on to it, I'm going to go to the stake I've already anchored back here. Go around, and I'm going to come up and put a trucker's hitch in it. Right here. Twist, go downhill, reach through, pull a big loop out, pass my bank line through that, push it through there twice to make a locking trucker's hitch, and now I can just simply pull and it will lock itself without me having to tie a knot. Just like that. When I get it where I want, put a 1/2 inch right behind it and pull it up. That's it. I didn't have to cut no cordage. And now this will stay secure left or right because that's an anchor point and the tarp is acting as an anchor point to hold it up. Now let's step around in front of it. And as you can see, I've got a whole lot more room. I can tack up leaves against that back edge to keep the wind down. The two outer stakes are holding it tight that way. That center pole I stood up in the back is holding the center in place. The hood is now acting as an asset to give me a lot more headroom. Since I've got an anchor in the center and the two sides, this isn't going to flop like crazy. And if I get heavy rain, it wants to sheet off of this and sheet off to the side. So I've got a lot more room. Now this is very good for an open fire or a long fire. And as we've demonstrated and talked in a recent video, if I add plastic to this, I make a super shelter. But I've got more than enough room here to stretch out sideways, okay? And I have my sleeping area. If my sides, I've got to enclose them somehow, it's not that difficult just to drive a couple of stakes in the ground, push up a big pile of leaves, and then put a couple of stakes on the other side so it's between two picket fences. That will hold leaf piles up across the side and give me more of an enclosed area. If I'm worried about wind blowing stuff up underneath or something like that, this is a very viable shelter, a very quick and comfortable shelter for camping out by a fire. It goes up very quickly. Now let me show you one more quick setup, and then we're going to go to the loops, the Ridgeline, the connectors. That'll be the end of the video where I'll show you how each of these connections work. Stay with me. Okay, now we're going to do one of the most useful shelters there is to me, and that's the PLOWPOINT or the diamond. I've come up here and got my Ridgeline attached, and I've hooked my one corner, bottom corner of my poncho to it. Now I'm going to take opposite corner. So it's the front left, I'm going to take the back right and I'm going to stake it out. Take the other corner, pull that along the ground and stake it out. Now a square tarp does this better, but you can do this with a poncho. It's just going to be a little asymmetrical, but that's fine. Pulling it outward so it's tight this way and tight up here to the top. You also have a center tie out here that you can pull out even farther. We'll get to that in a minute. Now let me go do the far side. Okay, it's now in a wedge configuration. But you notice how the top wants to sag in. You want to eliminate that. I'm going to take the rest of my Ridgeline and I'm going to run it up here. You remember that penny mod I did? Alright, now I'm going to run my Ridgeline. Remember that penny mod I did? I'm going to run my Ridgeline through that penny mod. Like this. Now, depending on the lay of the land, I can pull it further back here and get it to hold it up like you're seeing, or I can simply go up to a tree up here at an angle and hold it. The thing is, pull my ridge top up snug to put tension on this to make it sheet water better. See, that's holding that hood closed, but at the same time it's holding it up and giving me a lot more ground clearance. Just like this. And here is the plow point. All I need is one anchor point at a tree and just to stake the other 3 grommets out. Now I can also pull out the sides further because of those extra little grommets right here. They will pull it further out. Okay, here's how to do the center tie. What you want to do is you want to open up your bushcraft twist, your bushcraft bungee. You want to hold it open. You want to come across your ridge line, fold it over. Then you're going to take a toggle and you're going to go in like that. Go around both of the cords, come back up, push this down and go between. Okay? That puts the toggle like a Marline spike hitch right there, holding it. So now it's anchored to the center ridge line. Should I want to get it out, all I gotta do is just pull it and it's gonna pop right out. Real simple, huh? Okay, here's how to attach your ridge line to the tree where you're gonna use a trucker's hitch. You come to the end where the tree is, right here. And then you're going to take your line and go all the way around. Now, you're gonna come back toward the the beginning of the line, and you're gonna grab it, take your fingers and twist it. Get some slack now. Make a loop, okay? Put the loop toward the end, toward the tree you're going to. Reach through and pull up, give some slack, a big loop. You want at least a 2 or 3 inch loop, okay? Now holding that, you're going to take your running end, go through it once, go through it twice. That's a locking trucker's hitch. Now, all I got to do is take that running line and pull, and what's going to happen is it's going to bind up against itself there. So as I pull, I can just let go of the line and it will hold tension. Pull it good and tight, grab this side and give it a pull back this way, and really yank that sucker down tight. Once it's holding on its own, Then all you got to do is just put a 1/2 inch behind the knot like that as a stop knot. You're good to go. Now to take it down, you pull the 1/2 inch out, and these two lines of the loop have gone tight, right? Take your thumb and wedge between them. Just as soon as they open up, boom, that breaks all the tension and it just lets go. Then you take the line and pull, and that loop comes out and you're right back to square one. Now what happens if I have two ponchos? Well, I can double everything. I can put two ponchos together and make a much bigger pup tent just by snapping them to length and running the ridgeline down that length. That first configuration we showed you with the low pup tent, double the height of it, double the length is the same, but the height is much taller, and you can sit up in it. So two ponchos can become a bigger pup tent. Like this, what if I snapped on right here another one and took it that way, around the tree kind of? Well, I'd have a place for gear, more enclosed, and then this 2-foot gap right here where I'd put my fire out there throwing heat into here. That's a 3/4 enclosed type tent. Super simple, just add a poncho and go around the corner. See, I can put something down in here for a floor. I've got more than enough room. I can put my feet up that way and lay this way, and since the tree, the ground rises up, it's a better pillow area, you know, for me to lay up there and sleep. It's more elevated up this way, and my feet go back in the narrow hole. My fire being very close by will throw the heat in here and keep me warm. Super simple. So the poncho has multiple uses here, multiple tents. I can make a low pup tent to slide in with just one poncho. Add two, double it. I can take and make a standard lean-to. I can snap two side and sides and make a long lean-to, or over a line I've made the big pup tent if I snap two together, right? I take and put it in this configuration and then snap another one going that way and stake it out. Stake the same stake over there, and kind of wrap it around this tree. Now I've got a 3/4 way enclosed where I put my gear in there. I sleep this way and I put my fire right here. A much more useful, all with just two ponchos. See, a poncho can be a very viable camping accessory, especially when you're trying to do it down and dirty, where I don't have a lot of money, but a good poncho can actually make the difference. Now, protection of your ponchos. Do not lay them on the ground and pile firewood on them and drag them back to camp if you expect it to be waterproof. These are thin nylon with a silicone coating on them. They are not indestructible. In the military, they were basically free because they were issued. So yeah, the guys piled dirt on them and drug back to camp to make improved foxholes. Guys would pile firewood on it and drag it back to camp. A wounded man would be wrapped up in one of these and drugged back to camp. They would be turned into improvised hammocks. They would be turned into whatever. I've seen guys dig a hole, sit two ponchos in it, snap them together, tie up the thing, put water in it, make a bathtub out of it. A lot of things can be done, but it doesn't mean you're not going to poke holes in it and damage it. So if it's supposed to be a rain shelter, protect it. Don't drag it, don't snag it, don't put it right next to the fire where the heat can get a spark or so for it. The fire 5 or 6 feet out is more than enough to throw heat in here and keep it a microclimate in here. But if I built a fire right here, I'm going to melt this. I'm going to damage this. See, military did a lot of things because these were basically free in the military. And so you'll see write-ups and you'll see pictures of guys in combat utilizing these in some way that is very detrimental to it as a tarp or as a piece of rain gear. And they don't care because they're going to throw it away. Notice how my Ranger roll that I've demonstrated in videos, it's got a strip of duct tape on it because someone in the past used it to drag and there was a series of little tears going down it. Well, I just put duct tape over the whole thing to reinforcement. It still serves as rain gear, it will still serve as a tarp, and it does excellent as my Ranger roll, see, but it's not my first tarp. This is my #1 tarp, see. So if I'm going camping and it's going to be with the poncho, it'll be with this one, because this one's in excellent shape, its coating's great, it's waterproof, and I can set it up in these configurations and camp pretty easily, as you've seen. It's just a really small, quick tent. It's still rain gear. It can be a liner for a sleeping bag, something to go on the outside of a sleeping bag to keep it more water repellent if you don't have a Gore-Tex bivy. But again, if you put it on the ground, you sit on it, you sit there and twist on it, you lay on your elbows on it, and etc. You're going to wear holes in it pretty fast, and then it's going to be duct tape time. That's what I recommend. If you do get a hole in one, take Gorilla brand or really good brand duct tape, put a piece on both sides, sit there and rub it real good. I like to put it out in the sun, if possible, to warm the material up a little bit, so that when I stick it, it sticks good. And that's a pretty much permanent fix until the tarp wears out. Eventually this will wear out. It just got too many holes in it, too many whatevers. And when that happens, you rotate it over to a ground cloth configuration, or you rotate it over to become the Ranger roll or the whatever. When you got one that's all damaged up, yeah, sure, drag it in the leaves. I've used one before that it looked like Swiss cheese. It had so many little holes in it, but it became the perfect thing for when I was building a debris shelter, to lay that out and pile up all the leaves and sticks and pick it up as a big bundle and take it and dump it to make my debris shelter, because it didn't matter if it got hurt. See what I mean? Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Please leave any questions or comments below, and thank you for supporting the Ground Pounder series. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.